Welcome to National Kale Day, on air, helping you live your healthiest, happiest, greenest life with amazing resources, experts, and the latest on the power of a plant-based diet.
So I'm Dr. Drew Ramsey.
And I'm Jenny Zerlo.
We are here with Ann Ogden-Gaffney, who has a wonderful organization, Cook for Your Life, that focuses on teaching cooking skills and cancer and disease prevention. We are so happy to have you on the show, Ann. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Ann, for people who don't know you, you are many things. You are a cancer survivor. You are a chef. You are a businesswoman. Can you tell people and tell us a little bit about your journey and about you and cooking? And, of course, we're going to ask you a little later about you and Kale.
Of course you're going to ask me about me and Kale. Well, yes, I am a two-time survivor. I was diagnosed with kidney cancer in 2001. I had surgery, took that out, and everything was fine. But then about 3.5 years later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And in that, I entered the wonderful world of cancer treatment and chemotherapy, radiation, and all the things that brings with hair loss, the whole, nausea, any side effect. I've been there. I didn't start out in cooking in food. Actually, I was in the fashion industry for like over 30 years. Which has allowed me to travel the world and actually live other places too. I lived in Paris for 12 of those years, which was kind of formative as well, because it really introduced me into quality food. Also, my family is very foodie as well. My dad was a master baker, so I've grown up around food. So and I've always cooked. And when I was going through treatment, I found that actually it was a real help to be able to do this, because when my taste buds changes or when I felt lousy, I was able to kind of adjust my food or eat what I liked. And when I sort of was talking to a lot of other, cancer patients, I found that for most of them, food was a problem beyond the side effects, but they just literally did not cook. And I realized that maybe to do kind of a 101 healthy cooking would be something that could be really useful. So I kind of ditched my career in fashion and started this after my treatment was over. It was quite a change, I have to say, to go from that into cooking food and non-profit. Yeah. So.
That is amazing. Congratulations. That's having seen many patients over my career who have battled cancer. Yeah, that is amazing, and that you've beaten it twice. And tell us, so you're there, you see that people aren't cooking, you love food, you're a foodie, and then it sounds like you're have a wonderful career in fashion, living all over the world, and then you say, I'm gonna start teaching patients and people how to cook. What was your next step?
It's one of those things. Sometimes in life, when you make certain decisions, things fall into place. I don't know if you found that. You might have found that with your National Kale Day, by the way. It's not that you don't have to work for it, but once you put that out into the universe, things start to happen to put you in the right, to make it happen for you. From the people that I met in various, support groups and in the chemo suite, I then got introduced to some patient navigators at one of the hospitals, and then we started to set up classes. And then a friend of mine who's a retired businessman, I wanted him to help me with my business plan. He looked at it and he said, "This is great," and gave me seed money for it, that kind of thing. And I work with nutritionists to help me to find out where the food should be directed. To me, it was kind of in a sense, it's sort of obvious, but you need to get a really rounded sense of what's good for people. And on the site, as you probably know, I mean, we work around helping people get through treatment and then stay healthy afterwards. The preventive eating part. And to get through treatment, it's all about feelings. It's not so much about your best chicken recipe. It's maybe about you're going to be able to keep down, or the thing that, or if you're on a antimicrobial diet, which a lot of people who are on chemo get put on, to kind of get around all those restrictions so that you can actually eat properly, eat well, and enjoy it. So it's all about that kind of thing. But, Chef Ann, first thing, it has to be delicious no matter what.
So Chef Ann, I was hoping that you could, give us some tips if, let's say that you're cooking for a family member or a friend who's recovering. What are the types of dishes or recipes? Sort of walk us through some of the meals that you might make for someone, not only nutritionally speaking that's going to help them recover, but also something that's going to be tasty to them. I know in my own personal experience cooking for people going through chemo, I find that texture seems strange, and also the taste buds change. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I sure can, yes. But I will say, just to kind of start this first whole thing, the first thing you have to do is ask the person, because what they is what they kind of can tolerate. They may not know, but it's always better to ask. A very well-meaning friend of mine ruined salmon for me for many years, actually, because cooking it for me when really I just wanted to curl up and die. So it was, the smell lingered with me, and literally it was something that I used to love, and I wasn't able to, I just about can eat it now. But that's the kind of thing. So it's always a good idea to ask where people are at. You expect the nausea, you expect the fatigue, though you have no idea what that fatigue really means. But the taste thing is something that they don't really tell you. They're probably a bit more into it now, but it's a side effect that most people don't know. Where when you lose your hair, you lose all when you go through chemo, it kills all the fast-growing cells basically, which includes not just your hair but also your taste buds. So all of a sudden, things that just start to taste odd. Water tastes metallic. All you taste are the drugs. And what I found was, for me personally, there were sometimes at classes I always advise people not to eat their favorite foods when they're going through chemo, because, like me in my salmon experience, they may never want to eat it again.
So give us some ideas. You mentioned not to maybe pick your favorite foods, but with the weakness, the fatigue, do you recommend starting people out on soups, maybe like a carrot ginger soup or something that's easy to sort of spoon down if maybe the taste buds aren't cooperating that day?
That's it. Yeah, and soups are great. Soups. Soups, and my favorite things were kind of like mixed vegetable soups, soups with things like potatoes and rice in them, and this is the kind of thing we recommend. Also, poached chicken. There's a really great dish on the site which we nickname Miracle Chicken, which is literally it's poached chicken with vegetables, and I've never met anybody who couldn't eat that, because it's bland, but it's got a good texture. The vegetables are soft. You cook white rice in there, so it's kind of on your stomach. And then it's just the skin is off, so it's kind of not greasy. It's really actually one of the kind of the classics on the site. But also one of the things to do, especially if you know that your family member likes a certain kind of thing, is to cook quite a lot of it, freeze it, so that it's easy to access, at a minute's notice. So there's no cooking smells or anything that might upset that person. Just literally can heat it through, and then they can just sip on it.
That's such a great tip, also in terms of families, in the sense of you don't want to cook a fresh meal every day. If you have a family member with cancer, you're also stressed. So Ann, it sounds, this is absolutely wonderful information. We're hearing, as Jenna said, check in with people when they have a cancer illness and they're going through treatment about what they can tolerate. Understand they're going to be so tired they might barely know. Keep it a little bland. We love the Miracle Chicken. That's a wonderful tip. Tell us about your website a little bit. I think we have a couple of images just to show people. It's a beautiful site, and you have all kinds of tips like this on your site, which is cookforyourlife.org.
The site is really, it's a recipe site, but it's geared towards people with cancer, whether you're going through treatment or a survivor, just want to eat healthy. We have a fabulous recipe selector, which actually allows you to kind of trawl through the different recipes that, you know, for example, if you're in chemo, you can search for things that are appropriate in chemo. So so things like the miracle chicken will come up. You know, there'll be a lot of soups. You know, there'll be also a lot of advice about, you know, bland diet too, because a lot of people, the doctors will put them onto a bland diet for certain things because, you know, their digestion might be shot. So all things that are soothing and helpful in that way.
Oh, so that's wonderful. People can get recipes, and it sounds like kind of match recipes up with what stage they are of the illness. And so, and you guys are also on Twitter, so I'm sure that you're putting out...
we're on Twitter. We're on Facebook as well.
That's wonderful. And so people can connect with you. So everyone out there listening, for sure connect with Cook for Your Life. And cancer's out there, right? Everyone gets influenced by cancer in your life, and we all know someone. And so I think this is just such a wonderful tool, Anne, of how this is a question I get all the time. People say, oh, so-and-so has cancer, what do I do? And, you know, this is a great answer. Go cook for them. Go to Cook for Your Life, find a good recipe, and take them some food. That's going to help them. We want to talk just for a minute. You also work with prevention, and kale is this superfood. It's one of the crucifers. And tell us a little bit about you and kale.
Well, I mean, Jennifer knows this, but it's funny because I didn't eat kale until I came to the States, actually, because it's something that you know, you sometimes get in Italy, but you know, it was, you know, it's cavolo nero, so you're not thinking about it as kale per se. But it's funny. I started to eat it here, and I grew to love it. You know, what's not to like, right?
That's true, but it's a lot of people. Well, there is Paris has been a kale desert, so you lived there for 12 years. One of our board members, Kristen Bedard, has the Kale Project, and she's an American who moved over there, and her mission has been to get kale back to Paris. So we're going to be speaking with her actually on one of our next episode. So you fell in love with it, and you know, now there's a kale craze, as you know, and we are big proponents of that. But do you have an idea of why that's happened? Why it grew on you? Why has it grown on everyone?
Well, the thing is that I think it's first of all one of the things that, you know, I sometimes think I got into doing is in part to prevent the maltreatment of kale, because I realized that people, you know, they would say, oh, I tried kale, but I hate it. It's bitter, it's nasty, it's this. And I'd say to them,
stop the kale brutality.
Stop the kale brutality, indeed.
I'm with you. I'm like, please don't steam. Oh my gosh.
I hear this from Jed. We hear this all the time. People say, you know, I boiled the kale and Jed's,
you did what? You didn't boil it. You boiled it with a big old stalk.
Like, it stinks. I'm like, well, you're torturing it. No wonder.
No wonder. So, you know, we would always feature it at all the classes, because, you know, when we do the hands-on classes, which we do in the New York area, we always try and get people to use things that they never have used before, and kale was one of them. And, you know, so that they would not turn their nose up at it. And so we'd get them, you know, we'd cook it, you know, we'd maybe steam it a little, saute it a little, you know, thinly chiffonade it into a salad. And people kind of, oh my God, this is so delicious. And yeah, because it is. And good for you, there's nothing like it. You know, so and we have been, you know, out there pioneering kale in like the Hispanic community in New York also. We've got them eating kale. So it's kind of cool.
I think, you know, there's so many Hispanic recipes that kale would go awesome in. You know, they have their version. I mean, every Hispanic culture has their version of like a pulled pork.
Yeah.
Probably not for chemo, but, you know, that's something you can toss kale in, and at the last, you know, half an hour of cooking, 20 minutes of cooking, kale pairs beautifully with beans, really any pork product. It's, you know, maybe a slice of bacon or, you know, a few cubes of pancetta.
You guys are making me hungry. This is the problem with chefs about kale. Well, and this has been absolutely wonderful. let's just remind people, head to cookforyourlife.org. Everybody is influenced by cancer and is living proof. You can beat that. You can beat the big C, and you can do it with food. And kale can be part of great prevention strategies and also help people really get nutrient-dense food when they're in the midst of treatment. Really one of the most stressful things you can do. She has great hands-on cooking classes, and we've all been in that situation. You think maybe you can't cook. Hey, you can, and you can learn some great lessons. And you're a kale hero. You've taken people who've never eaten kale. You've put them on kale. Thank you. Thank you for all of your work. We know that you're going to be joining us on National Kale Day coming up October the 2nd. We're all going to be eating kale and enjoying kale. And so, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. This is another episode of National Kale Day on air. You can learn more about National Kale Day at nationalkaleday.org. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Google+, and connect with us and be like Anne. Help spread the kale.
Yes, be a kale pioneer.
We hope you got a lot out of this episode. In case you did miss anything, you can always get the show notes at nationalkaleday.org, where you can also leave your comments and questions. Of course, we'd also appreciate it if you could tell your friends, family, and coworkers about National Kale Day and help us grow. The easiest way to do that is by visiting nationalkaleday.org/love, where you can let your friends know about our segments. National Kale Day On Air is a production of nationalkaleday.org.